Hi, I'm good.
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. So, do you want to start just by telling us your history and typology, where you got started?
Sure. So I think I've always been really interested in myself, pretty self-focused, self-obsessed. I want to understand myself. I also want to understand consciousness, the nature of reality. So I think when I was in my 20s, I found my first Myers-Briggs test online and then took the test in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, and I always got the same thing. And I just thought it was neat to try to understand my motivations and how I operate in the world. And then I found out about OP because I was listening to the Frank James channel, the podcast, and Dave was on there and he was talking
Oh,
about
wow.
should I say what I was typed in Myers-Briggs?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I was always typed as an INFJ. And then on that channel or on the podcast, Dave was talking about Jerry Seinfeld and how he's an INFJ with no FE. And I
Uh-huh.
knew that I was self above tribe before I knew that there was a word for that. And I also knew that I didn't really have FE. And so when I heard that podcast about Jerry Seinfeld, I thought, maybe I'm one of those, because
Right.
I was always typing as an INFJ.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, did you d- did you put that down as your type when you went into the video
You mean on the OP thing?
on the OP thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I said, I said I'm an INFJ, but the jerk kind. Except I used a stronger word than jerk. But
Hmm.
yeah, I guess I was guessing like NIFI maybe.
Interesting.
I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we jump a little further, we got a few hellos. We got Lisa, sorry, and we have Chris from Asura Psych. How's it going, guys? Um, so I was noticing right away that you're probably way more chaos over control, though. So I don't think they cut you INFJ. You seem
I'm yeah, I'm very habitual, uptight, regimented in my patterns and my
are you?
routines, and so that's why I thought IJ. I
Uh-huh.
actually there was a lot of chaos going on right before this interview started with technical things, so
Right.
I do have chaos issues. That's really the only thing that I ever get upset about is the
Really?
observer meltdowns. Yeah, I get
Because you didn't seem really upset at all.
that's because I'm getting more mature and I'm
Oh, okay.
trying to like not throw my phone against the wall and and get upset,
Right.
because there's chaos every day with things. And
Uh-huh.
computer updates and everything, and I'm really trying to make an effort, but it's a problem and I have major meltdowns. That's what I get really upset about, because I feel like I'm showing up for the day to be responsible and get things done, and then things are letting me down, and it's just so frustrating because I'm really trying to be responsible and get stuff done. But I thought that IJ fit because I'm very routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I wasn't seeing masculine sensory, but I was seeing feminine intuition. Is that accurate?
Yes, feminine intuition is accurate.
Right. So
Yeah.
that it would mean masculine sensory, but I wasn't really seeing it. But the feminine
Hmm.
intuition, because you okay, but
There's
and
a
it,
really
and it
weird
seems like a savior too.
thing.
Your feminine intuition.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is something really weird going on with my type, so I'll let you
Okay,
puzzle it out. But yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah. But it is feminine intuition. Yeah,
And the way you're describing it, it sounds like self above tribe.
definitely
But
all the way.
yeah,
I knew that about myself before I knew a word for it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then I didn't see double observing or double deciding yet, so maybe we can get started on that.
Yeah.
Um, do you think do, do, do you think you've dealt with a lot of I don't know, struggles with people in your life at all?
No, only to the extent that they're causing chaos. I really don't like it when, because I like to be in my mind a lot, thinking about things, processing. So when
Uh-huh.
people don't follow the rules, like use turn signals and they don't leash their dogs, I just I want to know what to expect. I want things to be predictable when I leave the house, and I really don't like to leave my house, so I avoid that. But yeah, yeah. So the people, it's like they're things. They're in my way. They're causing chaos. There's people are loosely interpreting the traffic rules. I mean, why can't we just follow them? I mean, it saves money and it saves chaos. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing bothers me. But I don't have interpersonal conflicts with people.
No. Um,
No.
and you said you went to university before we started. You said you went to university for art. Uh,
Yeah, I studied studio art, writing, literature, and art history.
and so like you went there because you liked learning, or because it's what you
Hmm.
should do, or
Oh, I love learning. It wasn't what I should do. I had the money. My dad died in a plane crash when I was 8, and
I'm
so I
sorry to hear
had
that.
some money to go to university, and I had very romantic feelings about it, about academia. I love learning, and I thought it was going to be so amazing. And then I got there, and like it's just a system. And I'm such a liberal arts person. At one point, I thought I would go into art history, get a PhD, teach art history. But then I just realized about myself that I don't really do well in any kind of system. And there's politics in university. I just didn't want to do it. And also, learning
Mm-hmm.
is free because the internet started when I was in college. And I just started to see the value in just enriching myself without paying the university money to learn, because I could do that on my own.
See, like again, just with your language there, it's pointing towards any what you were just what you were talking about there.
Uh-huh.
How about the system and yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting though that OP would have typed you NI, Dom. Like you would
No,
have no.
you are correct. You are
Oh, I'm
correct in
correct.
any, yeah. The reason I thought that it was NI because they
Oh,
talk
okay.
about narrowing down. To me, e- everything's connected, and so everything eventually fits because there's a connecting line between everything. And so I thought that meant narrowing down. I just didn't understand. I thought, well, everything fits into one thing. That must be narrowing down. I just didn't
Oh, okay, all
understand the
right.
definitions very well. Yeah.
Okay, so okay,
Yeah.
because like I
Mhm.
kept wanting to say, yeah, okay. So you are
Yeah.
at any Dom. That's good. Um,
Uh-huh.
so so why did you thought it was NI because you thought it all fit to get all of the connections fit together?
Yeah, I think because I didn't understand the definitions very well. And then I also came from that brainwashing of thinking that my type couldn't start with an E because I'm so introverted. In the Myers Briggs, there's
Oh,
that misunderstanding. And then also, I felt like, yeah, they were saying it's about narrowing down and focusing on one thing. I do have favorite pet concepts that I return to over and over again. But to me, because I'm fitting everything into one basket, I thought that's what they meant by narrowing down. But what is really happening is that as I'm getting older, it's just that is big. The things that I know and the concepts that are connected is just getting bigger and bigger. And really, in the end, I think everything fits. So that's not narrowing down.
right. So it's like
Yeah.
it's seeing that everything fits in like a jigsaw puzzle pattern sort of thing. Like everything's connected, but not everything is the
Hmm.
same.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's just lines connecting everything.
Connecting everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So NI would
And it's
feel
almost
more
like,
like everything's the same, and NE would feel more like everything is connected.
uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a hologram. When you take like the one part, it looks kind of singular, but it also
Right.
contains everything like that. Yeah.
So, but you did get that you were intuitive dominant.
Yeah.
So,
Because I'm just so abstract
right.
in my mind. Yeah.
And like, do you feel like you're grounded in reality?
Yes, I'm a very grounded for that type. And I think that's because it's feminine
For
also.
the
You know,
type, you're grounded. Okay.
yeah, but also I'm kind of middle of the road. I mean, I'm sort of counterculture, maybe have a little bit of a counterculture look to me, but I also live in Eugene, Oregon, so it's not that weird. In terms
Right.
of the spectrum of people in Eugene, I'm more conservative. Like
Really?
in my
Okay.
job, for example, in massage therapy, a lot of people wear like flowing, hippie clothes. I wear scrubs because it's kind of important to me to be grounded at the same time. And I've also, the any, a lot of times I keep to myself, or I'm careful, about who I share the any concepts with, because it's just not always well received, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I want to be real with people, real and grounded, and make people comfortable, and not just talk about my crazy, weird inner world all the time.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, you are giving a lot of reasons. Like you are,
Hmm.
I'm still having a hard time with the T versus F, but I am seeing a
Yeah.
lot of T. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just because I've thought about this so much, because I have processed so much, and because of my age, that um you want to have reasons in the world. You're communicating with people, you want to be able to say why. I guess, I mean,
Right.
it seems like a good skill. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that's why I have worked out all the reasons, just because I've thought about it,
Well, because okay, so I think there's a difference between why and reasoning, because the why is going to be more linked to intuition, and
mm-hmm.
reasoning like this because that, because like sort of logical patterns. Like
Mm-hmm.
um I'm just trying to figure
Yeah,
out, yeah, what
I don't
where that comes
feel
from.
Yeah, I don't feel really logical. I feel like other people are way more logical than me, and
Yeah.
that I struggle with logical reasoning. And I also, at times, like in terms of things like truth and fact,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't respect it, and I feel like some people respect it too much, because
Okay.
there's like, people use words like truth and fact, but like underneath that, there's this huge assumption. Because we don't actually know how consciousness works or how reality works. And so you start throwing around words like truth and fact, and it just seems like logic is a language that people enjoy using, and some people are good at it and it's fun, but it's kind of based on this like assumption of a potentially a consensus reality, because we don't really know what consciousness is or how it works. You know what I mean? I don't know if
No,
that's a cop.
but I like it.
Well, okay. Well, I don't know if, yeah, I mean, we don't know how consciousness works. And so people with really reasoning, or maybe like masculine TE, that are, arguing,
Mhm.
they could both be arguing per- perception. We don't know that we're perceiving correctly. And so if you start saying that things are true, or you're arguing from a certain perception, that could be incorrect. So I just think like the broader concepts and the what if is more interesting to me. And I don't know
Yeah.
if I say that partially because it's a cop out, because I'm not good at logical reasoning. If I was in an argument with someone with masculine TE, um, I'll never win. Like I
Really.
can't stick up for myself in a logical way at all. Yeah, I'm not
Uh-huh.
good at it. Yeah.
Um, Tell me about when you're in a some kind of confrontation or something like that.
Hmm.
What's your go-to solution to deal with somebody?
Okay, I'll tell you a major thing. I'm a runner. I go running at the same track every day. One of the reasons I go to the same place at the same time every day is because it's a crowded urban trail, and there are people with off leash dogs. And I have my dog on a leash, and I'm just trying to run. And it's the law that you should leash your dog. And so this is just a major annoyance because I'm just trying to run. It's my solo sport. I don't want to be interrupted. And there's like puppies running up to us. And I'm really upset about that. I wish that my neighbors would just follow the law. There's like 7 billion people in the world. Could we just do this, to reduce the chaos? And I am a really not assertive person at all, but as I've gotten into my 40s, I've started to stick up for myself more. And like on a good day, I'll just stop and say, you're breaking the law. People don't like that. You're a bad neighbor. And then on a bad day, it's more of a Hulk thing where I snap and I'm like cussing at them, like you're an idiot, worse language than that. Just because I reached my limit. It's like, this is a daily problem. I have to deal with this every day. I'm so annoyed by it. It's like,
So I see you're pushing on the sensory, like on the law. You're pushing from that. So that's a masculine sensory thing. I was trying to see if you were masculine with the tribe or not. It sounds like you've learned to be masculine with the tribe. I don't know if you always were.
I wasn't, and it doesn't feel good. I don't want to do it. I feel like when that happens, I'm snapping because they've pushed me so far, and I resent people so much when I do that. Even though I'm the one that's losing it, I resent them that I've been pushed to this point.
I see. Yeah. So it does sound like your masculine self from what you said. I'm trying to see if what you said lines up with what you're exhibiting as well. I'm having a hard time tracking your emotional state as well, if you're masculine or feminine feelings. Do you want to tell me a little bit about how you deal with your feelings, how you deal with your values?
I have feelings all the time. I feel really comfortable with my feelings. I feel a wide range of them. I get angry. I have rage. That's usually observer things, like phone updates and packages not opening. I get, irrationally angry.
Yeah.
I also have sadness. And I'm also easily moved, if really daily, I would probably cry and cuss and scream every day. If there's something really beautiful that's moving, I will easily cry. And I feel comfortable doing that in front of pretty much everyone. I'm okay with allowing myself to be moved.
So what you described there is either FE, either masculine FE or feminine FI. But I don't know why you're exhibiting both, like both sides of the spectrum of the masculine feminine feelings. So it's hard to gauge. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Dave and Shan had they had an opinion. I'm working on FE. I mean, I'm working on using it more. Yeah.
So, like, I do see that they typed you as an ENTP, right?
No.
No? So then why are you working on using FE?
Because they told me I have masculine FI. They said I don't in any way, shape, or form have FE. And so that's why I'm working on it. Because I think it can help me in my massage therapy business. I want to be able to make people feel comfortable. I don't make them feel bad. I'm not particularly warm with people that aren't super close to me.
So do you want to tell me a little bit about your masculine FI then? If that makes, if you connect to that?
I guess it does. I mean, I have inner, a lot of inner feelings. And in my typing video, I said, I don't know what type I am, but I think and this is more of a self above tribe thing that I said, I don't know what type I am, but whatever it is, it's double activated masculine FU. Because I have a lot of like FU feelings about the world inside of me.
Yeah. And then, so then what you were describing with other people, that sounds like it would be cat energy, where like if they push you too far, then you'll push back.
Yeah, and that's really been more in my 40s because I'm so unassertive that I finally started to snap and stick up for myself, and now I'm trying to stick up for myself in a more mature way and more just giving the facts. Like, hey, you're breaking the law. That annoys people. Did you know that? You know, just sort of stating the facts instead of losing it.
I see. Okay. What about your TE? How do you see that work then? It's feminine TE, so you said you don't feel like a logical person. You don't feel like you're.
I'm not aware of my TE or really even understand what it is or how I use it. That's something when they typed me and I started thinking about it, I was like, I don't know. What does my TE do for me in my life? I don't have a clear picture of that.
It's interesting that you're putting the understand, like you're not taking responsibility for the understanding in some way when you said that. Did you get that?
Well, I think it confuses me. Like I'm watching the
Even
OP.
confusing.
Well, I'm watching the OP videos. There are too many parts. Like when they say it's like chess, I'm not good at chess. It's like you have to think about so many things at once, and I'm still getting used to the definitions. And it's more complicated because when I watch people's typing videos that they so generously post on Facebook, I love watching those. And I know that I'm supposed to be learning how to type, but I'm thinking about the meaning of what they're saying and appreciating the vulnerability because, you never, even in the best documentaries, you don't see people being so candid. And I just really appreciate it. So I get caught up in the emotion of what the people are expressing, the meaning, the life story. And I've watched your videos and I see how sharp you are, that you are just looking for the functions. And I don't know how you do that. I'm not at that level. And I still just am trying to understand the definitions.
I see. It's just your language is pushing you towards sensory more for some reason, but I can clearly see that you're using any, like it's overwhelming my NI, your NI, just how much feminine NI that is. Yeah.
I would say I have above average verbal skills, and I've thought about a lot of things a lot, and I have a strong internal dialogue. So it could be that inside my head, I have concepts. There are concepts that are sometimes pre-verbal, thoughts that bloom in my mind that don't have words yet, and I translate them into words. Not all of the thoughts, but some of them. And I love words. And so it could be just that I have been talking to myself for 43 years. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. Tell me about
maybe that's
your habits, and how you've maybe when you were younger, were you more all over the place and less sturdy and stable? And then did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really chaotic and really overwhelmed when things were messy. My room would get messy and I didn't even know where to start. My mom would tell me to clean my room and I would just like stuff things into corners. I just didn't know how to do it. Totally overwhelmed. But,
Right.
I'm self-employed. So
Yeah.
as I got older, I thought, we got to figure this out. And so at some point I learned to put things in 2 piles. And then after you do that, then you do 4 and it starts to organize itself at some point. And now I do really boring SI kind of stuff, spreadsheets and things, keeping track of my ROI for marketing for my business. I don't want to do that stuff. It's just that I'm a grown up and I don't want things to be chaotic. It's just, it's better if they're not. And I also learned how to be self disciplined. That's something that I never was. I started running when I was 37 and my only goal was to just be consistent. And then after I got that habit, now I'm a consistent runner. It's just kind of addicting. You think like, oh, what other habits can I cultivate? Now I know that I can follow through on my word to myself. So what's next? So
There you
now
go.
I love habits because it's just
It was
easier.
like
It's
it
easy.
was a self-discovery sort of thing. I noticed a
Yeah.
lot also with ENFPs that
Mhm.
they even though their SI is like really it's their fourth function, it's not so
Mhm.
great. They're still way more organized than I am. And if
Mm.
and they'll still say, "Oh, my house is a mess," but it'll still look really neat and tidy, even
Mhm.
though it's like their fourth function. Is that something that
Yeah.
you might identify with?
Yeah, and it's, partially because I figured it out, and there's some weird activation on my SI.
Okay, all right, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So, okay, like I'm I'm getting some weirdness from your play. I'm still getting that it's high. So, like, is it a savior play?
Really?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Uh-uh. No,
But
I
the
think that I've prepared myself to play right
okay.
now because that's what we're doing.
Right.
But this is draining, and this is I for I've done 3 interviews. This is the 3rd one. I've taken
Right.
the day off for each one of these interviews
Mhm.
because I knew they were scheduled in advance and I could rearrange my schedule. I have no idea what kind of energy is going to be left over after this, but I can't count on it on the energy. I'll just have to
Yeah,
see how I feel after
me
and
too.
then do
So
the rest of
so
the
is that
day.
is that is that weirdness because it's play last then?
Yeah,
Yeah?
totally play last. Yeah,
That's interesting. And because like you
yeah.
seem more extroverted than a play last would
hmm
be. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not consistent though. Like I'm bringing it right now, and I also have done I started my YouTube channel back in May, and so I've just learned like, if the camera's on, you're doing it. You're bringing
Mhm.
some energy. But yeah, it's totally unpredictable and not consistent. I can't count on this energy to be here.
Are you working? Are you conscious of your energy levels throughout the day? Or is that something that
hmm
you're trying to preserve constantly?
Yeah, and I also have a plan for it. Um, I plan my day around my energy. I wake up really early and I get the important things done first because I don't know when the energy is going to run out. It's not reliable. It could run out right after I eat lunch. So I try to do the hard things. I schedule my massages usually between from 2 until 7 or 7:30 at night because I might have less energy, but I don't need high energy for that. It's quiet, the lights are dim, the music is soothing, and I can just be in my, inner sleep world while I'm working. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm very aware of my, rhythms and plan my day around it.
So so what about infodom? Okay, so you are showing a little bit of leaning to energy dom.
hmm
Are you aware of information? Is that something you're tracking? Is information the most important thing to you? Is it good to get things
Uh,
right?
oh no, I don't really care. I
No.
mean, because I might not be right. I mean, what if I think I'm right? I mean,
Okay.
I might not be. It's like you see people on Facebook and you think that they're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, who knows? I don't know what's right. Like I said, we don't really even know how consciousness works, and we're just going off of perception. And we could be perceiving incorrectly, and we probably are. We're perceiving like a narrow range of reality.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, I hold myself to standards. I try to understand things as correctly as I can, within this world that I'm perceiving.
Mhm.
But I don't feel like embarrassed or bad if I get something wrong. I don't know. But I like nonfiction. I mean, I read nonfiction all the time. So
Yeah.
I like to learn things, but I also am aware as I'm learning it that it could be wrong, or in 5 years we're going to discover that it wasn't quite right, and something else is more true relatively within this world.
Yeah. So I am getting at least that we're on different axes. A lot.
Mm,
So it does make sense ENFP to me. It makes sense the consume first.
Mhm.
What's puzzling to me is this play, but I could see it. I could see that they typed you. Yeah, it looks like a very plausible typing for you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I totally understand play, but I don't interact. I have a very low need for interacting with people.
Mhm.
Like, I have my partner and my family. I don't have friends.
What about if you have a
I don't know.
question, something you don't know, something you need help figuring out? Does that ever
Mhm.
happen? Do you
Oh,
go and
yeah.
bother people and yeah?
No, I would eventually maybe, but I would, because Facebook is such a useful tool and it's so pervasive, like we're all on it all the time. And so
Mhm.
it's more like normal to do that, but I wouldn't do that first. I would ask myself. I ask myself a lot of questions, and then a lot of times I sleep on it, literally sleep on it, and the answer will come in a dream or comes when I'm running. And then also Google, I
Mhm.
ask Google first and, dig a little bit.
Yeah.
But if it's something Google can't really answer, then I'll say, hey, Facebook, what do you know about this? Or if it's
Okay.
just tedious, like if it's not on the first page of Google, like it just gets draining to look things up all the time. And you can just crowdsource because somebody might know the answer right away.
Yeah. So, okay, so do you want to tell us a little bit about your Etsy
Mhm.
account? I've linked it in the description.
Yeah. So I print photographs onto fabric. So here's a pillow. This is a antique photograph of my father. And
Cool.
then I also make ceramic earrings. So you probably can't see that very well, but it's like if you have a really big hole in your ear, it's like a big ceramic earring that's kind of sculptural and goes through.
Cool. And so there's a link to
Yeah.
that shop in the description. And then you have two YouTube channels. You have one for your massage therapy that you've sort of talked about habits, you said?
Yeah. Massage therapy is Bright Star Massage, and it's just really to put some content out to boost my Google ranking for my website.
Right. And then the other YouTube channel you have is for typology. What kind of stuff do you talk about there?
Yeah, it's kind of about typology sometimes. It's called Miserable Cow, and it's really just processing. I'm working on my mood. I'm extremely pessimistic,
Yeah, I should have got
and
that masculine feeling from just miserable cow.
yeah. So I am traditionally I really struggle with pessimism, and that's something that I'm working on because
Oh,
I'm
really?
trying to look for the good things, because I can get into a downward spiral like so easily. And I'm doing a lot better in the last
Mhm.
few years as I'm getting more mature, but just like something can set me off. Like
That's
this month
negative
I might,
NE. Yeah.
mm,
Do you see
yeah,
do you feel like you're seeing a lot of, negative possibilities in the world all the time?
I have a lot of anxiety. I mean, I think it's about being self-employed that I am stuck in these bottom two levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like I make
Mm,
after my taxes, I make like $15,000 a year, and I'm
right.
in my 40s. And the work that I'm doing is actually valuable. I have good relationships with my clients. I just am not making it work, and so it's a lot of fear about security and money and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go really quickly through some of this stuff,
Mhm.
that people are saying. S Savage Studio says it's good seeing you with good SI, an ENFP with good SI.
Yeah, so could I just say my SI, they told me, is double activated and masculine.
Right. Yeah.
So pretty strong. Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing with your FI is double activated and masculine.
Mhm.
That's right. Um, I don't know what this does this say anything to you from Nick Stride? It's hard finding
Uh,
functions because we're diagnosing symptoms.
I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I guess like cognition is hard to see. We're just seeing the symptoms of the cognition. That's how so we're trying to see. Okay, you do this, you do this. That means you must be thinking this way. You must
Yeah.
be processing this way. Yeah.
Uh,
But Savage Studio says you sound like you're info dominant.
uh,
So and then Sheila says hi. She says she's also masculine FI. So it's nice to
uh,
cool. Anyways, check out Annie's YouTube channels and Etsy store. And thank you very much for coming out. Is there anything else that maybe we glossed over about your type that you want to clarify for people?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
Can't think of it.
It's a glass lizard type. It's EPs are supposed to have high play.
Yeah. Do you agree with it? Does it seem like it could be true?
It seems plausible. Yeah. It seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was like, your play isn't. There is like weirdness with your play. Yeah. But since you're any dom, you're still using your any in your play. So it might not seem so out of whack when you do use it.
Yeah.
But that TE should be really hard for you. That should be like a really big struggle. Thinking with the tribe,
what is
getting advice.
Okay, so that's thinking. Yeah, I am so self-focused. I know that about myself. So yeah, I don't really, and it's
double
the same with
sleep.
Yeah, it's just the same with FE too. Like I don't really consider the tribe much in anything. And I'm working on that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming out. Have a good one.
Sure.
Thank you, YouTube.
Yeah.